Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Welcome back. It's been a while.
Hey, life is busy, man. Very busy.
Well, here's the thing. We had a bit of a conversation earlier today on something you posted, and just for the record, let me show the team exactly what I'm talking about so that everybody can get some context. It was a tweet that you posted, and read that for me.
Yeah, some guy, I don't even remember what the heck he was responding to. I put something on, and he's like, what do you do if what about you look in the mirror and discover your ugly dude? And I go, do what I did, get jacked, get style, get interesting, and get money. It's amazing how good looking people think I am now.
And what I replied to on Twitter, I said, slow down. I got jacked precisely because I have no sense of style. My uniform, white shell-toed Adidas, and an anime tank top. I think today I'm rocking my Saget shirt from Street Fighter. And you were right about the rest, and we need to break down the money part of for the uninitiated. And who else is doing triceps today? Because I was doing tricep pushes the other day. I want to be clear. I firmly believe, and as some people can see from the beginning, I firmly believe that muscles and good skincare can take the place of a lot of fashion. I mean, going to the gym and being in a situation where whether you're wearing an Armani suit or a burlap sack stops mattering. I think it just stops. And I don't think you're an ugly dude, but I'm not here to judge you. He said, do what I did, get jacked. I totally understand that whole concept of getting in shape, but I don't have a sense of fashion. I'm not a clothes guy. I don't know what collar goes with what. I know how to buy a suit for business, but as far as recreation, I can never get it quite right. But I realized early, I don't need to be well-dressed if I have muscles. And on top of those muscles, for the record, I exfoliate once every 3-4 days, astringent to get deep cleaning into my face every 3 or 4 days. I have a nose hair trimmer. I'm not going to show you people that. You don't need to see it. Every 3 or 4 days, clean the nose hairs out. Those tiny things, plus a tank top and some muscles, I think it makes all the difference in the world. But would you consider yourself a fashionable man, and how does that really change things for you?
Well, for starters, I mean, yeah, I've always wanted to have a sense of my clothes fitting well and being the right cut and everything. As far as how's it, does it change things? Absolutely, because you have to remember, it's not like one takes the place of the other. That's impossible. If it was not impossible, you could be overweight and be super well dressed, and that would be like, okay, he's cool. Like, no, it's a total package. And a thing about being a man is a man's got to develop on all fronts. That's just how we were, designed or whatever, or burn of masculinity. So it's not enough to just go get in the gym, right? You get in the gym, you hit all the metrics. I think when I wrote you earlier, I said the basic metrics would be under 14% body fat, decent shoulder to waist ratio. I can't remember the exact number. I feel like it's something like 1.6, maybe. I don't feel like that's right, but maybe it is. And like when your shirt's off, you got some kind of vascularity from working out. But like on top of that, now you can get away with wearing almost anything. I say almost, right? Like jeans and a white t-shirt. A V-neck, that's going to look great on you. You don't have to be high fashion. At the same time, I would definitely not ever wear an anime shirt out, and I love anime. That's just I wouldn't do it unless I was going to a con or something, a convention. That's a different story, then it's super appropriate. But as far as my my day-to-day, I'd wear it to the gym. Like what you got on to me is perfect gym wear. I would absolutely never go just like right. It doesn't matter how in shape I am, because I put all that time into something. That's the thing. Like working out is time into your body. Fashion is taking a part that you're uncomfortable with, and then, like I've literally, I paid stylists and bought got my clothes fitted because you got to learn. You put it all together, and now you've got another advantage. Now you're developed in another area, just like the whole other aspect. Get interesting. You know how hard it is? Of course you do, because you're an interesting dude. How hard it is to become interesting, right? But that's another area of development. We can't neglect an area of development. That's just not what we get to do as men. Nothing can take the place of another thing. You just lack in there. That's all it is. It's not a replacement.
Well, I want to, and I want to be clear. I'm not talking about, and I think for men, we may be able to get away with a greater variance in our hip waist ratio so long as the body fat is low. I think the lowest I ever got my body fat was, and I have a body that's a combination between a rhinoceros and a fire hydrant. And I accepted that and just made the most of it. But I got my body fat down for a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu tournament. I think I got it down to like 13%, and I got down to like 209 pounds, and I hated everyone at that point. I hated myself. I hated the world because the effort. I never had abs, but I got that one line where if you backed around and looked at the right shadow, if just at like that hour between dusk, you could see a thin line. And right after that, I was like, nope.
Well, you got to remember too. It's not we're not for guys. It's not hip to waist. For guys, it's waist to shoulder. I don't know if I made a mistake earlier.
Waist. Well, let me give you.
You want to get the V look. That's what you're aiming to get. Proportion like the swimmer V look, and that's the best kind of shape appearance for a guy to have. Combine that with low body fat, you can wear almost anything you want to.
Okay. Well, what about? Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to show you two very different ones. Idris Elba, right?
Yeah.
That, for me, is the most common body type I see in the gym because there is no narrowing. He has a thickness to him that fighters need, but I still see people finding that to be consistently attractive. Men can look at him and say, yeah, that guy works out.
Now, look at his waist to shoulders. Look how much bigger his shoulders are than his waist.
Yeah, but I don't think you're talking about that much. Hold on. Mustafa, let's see. Mustafa said, I was just about to ask hairstyle and care, etc. Then I realized, so what about facial hair? Do you think a beard is a must? No, a beard is not a must. Neither
I agree with you. I don't think it's a must. I think if you can do it, you should do it. I'll say that 100%. I don't think it's a must at all, though, because, it's one of those things. It's where would I put a beard? A beard is like, man, a beard is funny because you'll be good looking either way. It's a nice accessory. As long as your beard is well maintained and groomed, it's always a plus. But if you don't have it, I would say it's not a negative on general fashion. Now, I can't judge or at least I can't judge like intuitively on sexual attractiveness because I'm not attracted to men. But I do know that from a fashion perspective, or style perspective or whatever, it's at worst neutral. Like it doesn't do anything for you, but sometimes it's a plus if you can grow it in and keep it well maintained and well polished.
Well, it also depends on while I'm talking, I'm going to give you another example, but it also depends on, you have to have the right facial hair for your face. Interestingly enough, I don't know if you heard me the other day I said I went to a barber that is not my barber and I told her just maintain the lines, but I wasn't clear enough in my Portuguese, and she made it a line because my barber knows to keep the lines, but I don't know if you saw, like even 3 or 4 days ago, my mustache is really thick, heavy.
I'm not laughing at your misfortune. I mean, I guess I kind of am, but like, it's not like you broke your leg or something. It's just an interesting, like lost in translation error.
Yeah.
That's
well, here's my mustache inspiration. I don't know if you know who Bass Reeves was.
I do not. Who was he?
Oh, well, U.S. Marshal Bass Reeves is actually
I was literally about to say, is he a gunslinger? Like, so,
yes. And he was the actual inspiration for the Lone Ranger, but just like the Green Hornet, they had to make sure a white man played the role.
Oh.
He has a long, clearly documented history as a U.S. Marshal. He was a genuinely bad guy. Check this out. He lived from 1838 till January 12th. Can you see this?
I can't see it.
You can?
Yeah.
Okay, he was the. Let me read this to you because I've read this in several places. Interestingly enough, he was the first black deputy U.S. Marshal west of the Mississippi River. He worked in Arkansas and the Oklahoma Territory. He arrested more than 3,000 felons and shot 14 people in self-defense. I'm going to say that self-defense part, when you're a U.S. Marshal in those days, self-defense would be easier to kill him than to. There were probably 14 guys that he knew were just tough enough to maybe I can't just smack him around and take him. Maybe I've got to.
Maybe you got to, yeah.
But I remember when I saw that bad boy, I said, that's me right there. That's it. And I had people tell me, they said, you know what? That fits your face and personality. So everybody has to have the right one for them.
Yeah.
Experiment. You know, you got to experiment on it. Like, say, hey, thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it. He said, hey, thanks. I just did. Great conversation. Your mustache looks awesome. It looks a little thin to me because I'm a wide dude. My mustache kind of fit my body type. But I see a little bit more of what you're saying. I see a little bit more about it has to be a combination. And I understand that I may be putting my own, what's the word? Fashion inadequacies. I may be transposing that on others. Maybe it's just easier for some people. For me, it was never easy.
Well, so, I mean, easy or hard, those are just words. Those don't mean anything. Necessary or unnecessary, that's all that matters to me. And for what I wanted to be, or what I want to be, what I wanted to be, however you want to look at where I'm at on the spectrum or on the journey, I sat and I learned fashion. It's not easy. It's not intuitive for some of us, but it's a very learnable. It's like anything else. It's very learnable. You first the first thing you kind of learn to understand. I figured this out real early. Well, not real early because sometimes it's funny, man. Tom Hop will come up and I'll see how I was dressed and I'm like, holy shit, what was I thinking? Right? because it's just close enough to okay, but something is like so off now. Like I was looking at a picture that came up and like my shirts don't fit the way they fit now, right? And it has nothing to do with the shirt. I mean, it kind of does, but now I know, okay, whenever I buy something off the rack, I take it to my tailor and he goes to my measurements and then tailors it, and then I make sure it fits to me, right? That's one of those little things, you just learn. And then you go, okay, well, shoes. How do I get some nice shoes? Well, for the first thing I started doing, I did pick this up and got this right about 10 years ago, maybe a little longer. I stopped wearing tennis shoes for anywhere but athletic places, or if I knew I was going to be walking a shit ton. And more recently, I found, they got these nice hybrids now where you can have some nice shoes and do some walking. So unless I'm going into like mud, I'll wear those. But little things like that. And then you start figuring out, okay, how do I keep the crease in my jeans? How do I make them nice? Or how do I get the fit for my jeans will look good? Dude, there's so many ways to learn it that once you learn it, you kind of go, okay, holy shit. And then what'll happen is it's like being fit. You'll start to see most guys don't really put any effort into it. And then, and then they're leaving some on the table. Like when I rock nice shoes, it's amazing. Like when I went back to school, this just goes to show you that the recognition of fashion transcends age for sure. When I went back to school, I was in school. I was 30. I graduated 33, so I would have been like 32 when this happened. I would rock my regular these nice Italian brown shoes I got, and almost constantly there's some young girl who's like, I'm clearly way older, and she's stopping and going, oh, those are really nice shoes. Those are nice shoes. And then I understand what that that's translation for me to go one way or the other with the combo, but I'm going another way because I'm in another place. But it's an advantage. It's the same way my girl comments now. Every time we go out with these fitted blazers I have, and I sat down with the guy. I got my measurements for the blazer. I got the colors and the cut right and everything. And now everyone goes, oh, random compliments over Europe and America. It's a great jacket. It's a great jacket. It's a great cut. So well, everything is sir this, sir that. Serve. I'm sure my service is better and everything. It's one of those things that you give me. Yeah, you can get by looking like shit. Most people do. But when you take to that next level, it's like being in shape. Yeah, you can get by not being in shape. But you take it to the next level, and all of a sudden now a whole world opens up that you don't even know exists.
You know what I might do when summer hits and I'm about to attempt to go into a real fat sucking maximum swollenness before Carnival because I'm vain. But I want to do an article called "The Lies Muscles Tell," because there are certain things that, you know, we know that a cute girl can get away with shit that an average looking woman can't, even though they're saying the same words. When you have muscles, there are these weird assumptions. And I realized this young. When I went into college, because I was a fat kid, when I went into college, it was like, people treated me different. Like 6 months into lifting some heavy ass weights on this old fashioned, they call it a German, the German system, where it's just some brutally heavy compound movements. It's like people treat me different. People actually act like I'm smarter and nicer.
Yeah.
Is this what it's like to be a 21-year-old girl?
I don't know if people think that a 21-year-old girl is necessarily smarter, but there was an interesting study I read where they actually attract kids from birth to like freaking 18 maybe, and they measured their face and compared them to just like an algorithm of what they considered to be attractive, and this was when they were like 2, and then, you know, at like 6 and an age, and they also measured and compared their IQs. And turns out something my biology teacher said to me in the 9th grade turns out to be incredibly true. Turns out that good traits come in clusters, and I'm sure this is a representation of how we selectively have bred, you know, smarter guys or better looking guys and more opportunities, and if you are both, you have more. But turns out that, yeah, being good looking is effectively a guarantee you're going to have about 4 points more in your IQ.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
now, is that for both genders, for men and women?
I don't remember, but I do remember that. Yeah, I'm sure the study's easy to Google, but yeah. Turns out being you know, it's a symbol of fitness. It's the same way how we now know that what does a low carb diet do when you get rid of those sugars and lower your body fat? Yeah, it makes you think clearer, more clearly, more effectively, and more fit.
Well, if I can say something inflammatory,
sure.
The two insults that always go together are fat and stupid.
Oh, right.
If I can just piss some people off right quick, I'll say that those two. Why do we do that? Why do we? And it's not true, but it's a weird thing that are we being biased against it? Hold on, we got a question. Read what I just posted on the screen. We got a question.
So I'm wondering what you guys think about body weight. I'm skinny type and struggling to find what to wear. Should I add some mass for sure? Oh, okay. So okay. So to answer that question in my, you know, limited, I don't even say limited, but my intermediate level experience in this, I would say first off, your goal is to build mass regardless, right? You always want, as a guy, you should be lifting weights and trying to, you know, get to a point where if you envision growth with the amount of effort you put in versus the mass you see, it should look like a log, and you should get conded to the top right before it starts to get flat. Once you get there, and if you don't know what a logarithmic graph looks like, look it up, and you'll be able to see very clearly what I mean. Once you get to that point, you know, it's really a maintenance phase there, but you should be trying to get to that point, you know, pretty much where you don't have to like suck down 2,500 calories or use some kind of growth enhancement, legal or otherwise, to gain more mass. Once you get there, then you want to, you know, keep your body fat around, man, really anything higher than 14%, you're really doing yourself a disservice, not just in your body, but it shows in your face. Like right now, I'm looking at myself and I know, because like I'm going to talk, I've been training specifically for, I know my body fat is probably around 13%. And I can tell that because I'm looking at my face and I can see it. Right. And other people can't. And there's a very clear difference between 13 and 15. It's
huge. Right? And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know just that little bit of a jump. Because for me, my giveaway is my bench press, like my chest cleavage. Yeah. When I can see that dark line, I know I'm getting it in. But when that line starts to get a little shallow, I had a little too much chicken last week, too many baked potatoes. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to give him something real quick. Mustafa, well, Ed and I, we do different sports. I train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He's a boxer. As far as putting on mass, I would say get a sport. I don't care if it's weightlifting, boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Get a sport and do it 4 days a week. Okay, that's the first thing. 2, don't do yourself any disservice. Eat good food. People say, "Wow, I thought you didn't eat sugar," and I'm like, "Well, what do you mean?" They see me eating bananas and oranges. Yeah, I eat tons of fruit because it's great and it's not going to kill you. When I eat, I try to eat meat, rice, and vegetables. I stay away from sugar. And the size that you gain off just eating a good solid diet of chicken, fish, and some beef, and I'm trying to cut out pork completely, it makes a huge difference. I wouldn't tell you got to go out there and be big. By the way, this is an article I wrote called A Player's Needs. If you guys want to check that out, I even put one of my most trusted workout routines called the Golden Six. Squats, dumbbell, bench press, chin-ups, behind the neck, overhead press, barbell curl, bent knee sit-ups. And I substitute in different exercises. Like I often substitute my dips instead of sit-ups. But if you substitute instead of squats, if you want to say a leg exercise, a chest exercise, a back exercise, and you're doing 4 sets of 10, and you're doing that every other day with weight that you can barely finish, you will see growth.
Yeah, I mean, lifting is I always have to remember there's like 3 kinds of guys who train. There are guys who are like trying to compete in something. There are guys that have, for whatever reason, the aesthetic, or they want the aesthetic, or they want the look, they want the strength, they want the mass, they want to look like they lift, basically. And then there are guys that pretty much need that are newbies and just want to get a benefit from it. And there's another 0 category, guys that don't touch shit, but we ain't interested in them. It sounds like the advice that you're in the 3rd category, the guy who wants to start getting in shape and really look like you spend some time in the gym. Yeah, I mean, it takes 6 months to a year doing that. You'll see what your body naturally feels to, and then don't worry about being too skinny or too. Yeah, don't worry about that, because as long as you're lifting and eating correctly, you're gonna do fine. But the big thing is keep the body fat down while you're putting on the muscle. But which is going to be hard enough in the first place. So you alternate. It's possible, of course. But I always give the most people advice, because for me to go deep, I don't really feel that comfortable going deep on it, because I know my training, I got most of my fitness habits and training habits from being firmly in the 1st category, a guy that was training to compete in something. First, when I was playing football in high school and then part of college, and then when I shifted over to boxing. In other words, I don't really know how to train like a normal person. I'm trying to learn, but
you see on the far side where it says endomorph, typically short and stocky, that's me. I can gain muscle so fast, it's ridiculous. In 2 or 3 months, I would have to actually decide if I want to keep doing something, because I would get bigger than the extra large shirts that I wear. But at the same time, man, for me to drop 5 pounds in 1 month, I have to bleed. My body just wants to hold on to every ounce of protein. So the compromise is I just can't let it hold on to any garbage. And for me, I've got that top heavy grappling Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu style. I'm all above the waist, shoulder pressure, and I use what I have to get what I want. And I say that to say this, Mustafa, if you're not in that category, guess what? Be skinny, get a 6-pack. I've never done it, but that 6-pack might be just as easy for you as those are for me.
Yeah, like your boy, what the hell is his name? He was played by Brad Pitt, but in Fight Club, Tyler Durden, right? I mean, okay. Yeah, it looked like that guy. Yeah, dude, that is a fine look in terms of like a guy that you can be skinny and skinny ripped, skinny hot, whatever they call it. I don't know, skinny jacked.
But see, that's the trick. The only trick is it doesn't matter what you want to look like. If you just don't allow yourself to get fat by not necessarily eating like some kind of a monk, but if you can just get yourself into a situation where you can say no to the sugar, exercise 4 or 5 times a week, it really makes all the difference in the world. Oh, by the way, here's what I think Ed was alluding to. Let me share this with you guys. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, not Troy, not Brad Pitt and Troy. He got fucking jacked for that movie. But but the one for Fight Club. Yeah, so they got the two side by side. The one on the right is Troy. Oh, which I mean, I guess he's still kind of. I thought he was a little more jacked, and Troy probably elite.
How old was he though? That's one of the things he said in an interview. I'll never forget. He said that's the last movie he's gonna do where he has to look like that because he said he just can't. It's like Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman was very famous for saying.
I think Matt Damon said something to that effect too about the Bourne movies.
Yeah. Yeah, Hugh Jackman said that 8% body fat that he needed to play Wolverine. Like, I know guys who are fighters and athletes who go down that low. You talk about hatred, man. The things you have to do to get that low and stay that low, and most people don't know it doesn't even last all day. You might get 1 or 2 days if all you do is drink water to get that heavy level of definition to take all these pictures.
Yeah.
After that, you could have 2 bananas and a piece of chicken and.
Yeah, here's the thing. Like when you start playing for aesthetics, that's a different game. Like a lot of my knowledge and my experience comes from guys cutting to make a specific weight and to do it as strong as possible. I only cut weight twice in my career, but I watched and spent a lot of time around all the guys in my gym who were trying to do it, and it's just a different. You don't care about the look just kind of naturally comes. If you ever see the middleweights are great for this because a lot of guys cut down to middle because 160 pounder, I don't know what it is in the UFC, any guys who are like UFC guys, but for boxing, middleweight is 160. You can get down to 160. A lot of people can, even if they're like 190, and for many reasons it behooves you to go that low, but that's a different discussion. Anyhow, my point is that when you start talking about dropping body fat and trying to stay strong, it's really amazing what you can do. A lot of it, that comes down to diet, but a specific diet. But if you just eat, I mean, like right now, for example, I wanna get to 200 pounds. That's like my goal. And right now, pretty much what I'm doing is a high protein, high fat, very low, no refined carbs, no refined, like no sugar, no nothing I can eat out of a damn package. I have some vegetables and shit like that. And dude, it's great. It works out really well. And but most people, for whatever reason, maybe it's the Western diet or not, who knows? They have a lot of people eating that way.
Can I pretend to be psychic?
Sure.
And hold on, let me pull up a picture. Oh, by the way, for everybody watching, do 2 things. 1, make sure you give it a thumbs up. But 2, the way I meet new interesting people, share the link to this article somewhere. Share it on your Twitter or your Facebook. Share it anywhere you can, because if one person says, hey, that looks interesting, we made some new friends, I met some new people. I don't have any kind of a agreement with Google or YouTube. I don't make any money that way. I'm an editor and a writer. You guys can find me on LinkedIn. I ghostwrite for websites that you all know. I edit articles for newspapers and journals and people websites. I do all those things, but that's what I do. But I need you guys to share it. And I'm going to say, Ed, look, I'm going to pretend to be psychic. Do most of your meals look like that? Chicken, broccoli, rice.
Minus the rice, yeah.
Chicken. I try to get wild rice and grain rice, but chicken, broccoli, rice is the old-fashioned. It's hard to mess that up, people.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Chicken, broccoli, rice is going to get you combined with working out and really being on top of your shit. I mean, here's my thing, right? I really try to avoid rice. Is the glycemic index on rice, if I remember right. I'm not an expert. Again, I just really go on what I've watched and what's worked for me. So when I'm in the process of reducing body fat, I don't touch rice. And I'm not even sure. I guess we can look it up if rice has a high glycemic index. Feels like it does. But I would rather let my body burn on the protein.
Yeah.
Fuel on that.
Well, what I do is because Brazil is a very heavy rice country. And one of the things that I do is I just try to, they give you a pile of rice with everything. So I just try not to eat all of it most of the time. It's not always successful, but you know what? It's knowing what your enemy is.
Yeah.
What I want to go to is the second part. And this is something I think And by the way, Mustafa, I hope we were able to help you out some of our answers. When we talked about the money, when you said get your money together, what did you mean? Because I don't want to misinterpret you.
Man, you gotta remember, I'm always my perspective I've learned is somewhat different because I'm in the rare position, very thankful for it now. But I wasn't then. I've been through the bottom. I haven't quite been upper class yet by the depth. Maybe I have actually. I don't know. Point is, I'm from as poor as you can be to a top 10% earner in this country, and that's fine. So I know the spectrum. What I say, get your money right. If I could make that is hard to misinterpret as possible. You want to get into a position to where your bills do not cause you stress, and you. I mean, like that's the minimum. Like, I mean, and people go, oh, that seems so easy. I'm like, yeah, that's because you're from the middle where most people are. I'm telling you right now, growing up poor, I still deal with family members who are like this. I remember it being like this. You would think, okay, we got to cover rent. We got to cover, we're not even going on insurance. We're going to pretend they ain't got cars because most of them don't. You got to cover rent. And we'll say their health insurance is covered by one entity or the other. You can interpret that how you want. You got to cover rent, food, and I, everyone's got a damn phone now. We can say whether they should or shouldn't. It ain't the point. Cover your basic stuff. You'd be surprised. We're talking about maybe $1,000 a month, well, right?
And for the record, for people who don't know, and Ed's a little bit more modest than I am, so I'm gonna have to do this for him. Y'all need to go to Ed Lattimore on Twitter. He drops some straight jewels, people. You will not regret this. Get on his Twitter feed. Tell him I don't care when you're watching this, but he will say some shit that will have you retweet again. Am I mad about this? I don't know, because he gives honesty in a way that they don't know. But I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to check this guy out. He's one of the most interesting people I know, and that's why he's always got the door open to come here. I wanted to dig in on what you said, because you talked about money and you said it right next to women. One of the things I want to be clear about, and I want to talk about that intersection. I was having a conversation. There was no romance without finance. And anybody, even in the comments, feel free to correct me on this, but I want to go in on that. And I always want to say, when I was taught no romance without finance, it's often misunderstood as in, I need to give women money. I need to buy women things. That's not.
It's funny. That's not how I interpret it. I interpret it as pimp shit.
I was taught differently. When I was young, they said that's not what it means. So I'm going to tell you how I looked at it. I was taught, what is it like when you come home after the gym and you're texting with this girl and, man, I'm gonna take a hot shower and blah, 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 blah. And you could say, I need a good massage. Or she says, hey, I need a massage. What are you gonna tell her? To hop on the train and come over here? It's 10 o'clock at night. No, it's nice to be able to pay for her Uber to come and see you.
Yeah.
What happened when you walk? Huh?
No, yeah. And that's the other part to it. We want to talk about just get it right, and then we want to talk about like get it better. Yeah, you should be able to pay for your leisure, whatever that leisure is, and also caveat, I guess, the underscore to that or corollary is that leisure should not detract from your getting your money right. Like, look, man, if you like to smoke weed, I don't touch it. I don't get it right. If you like to smoke or drink, you should not be making that. I know people who can't cover their rent, but they got the weed money, and that's crazy to me, right? I know people who literally are having trouble putting food on their table and eating right consistently, but they always got some money for some drink. That's poor prioritization, and I always like that, and that's not a middle, like, if that's not a decent income problem, that's a low income problem. So, well, intellectual or mentally, that's a low income mindset, and the actions you take, those are low income. So you really, I mean, money is a proxy indicator for a lot of other things.
Yes, it is.
You really got to when you get your money right. That's pretty much where it shows up. When your priorities are right, you're working hard, you're moving towards something that's going to probably make you better, at the very least, make your life better. Keep
let me give you guys a couple more real life examples though of how the no romance without finance plays itself out differently from no, you shouldn't be buying her things. You know, it's nice to say you're walking down the street and you pass a dress shop and you see this dress that is whatever elegant is, this is the opposite. This is like some straight up Vegas whore high heels and mini skirt. And you look at it and you look at her and you say, wow, you would look great in that. And she looks at you and says, what? I am not buying. And I said, you can say, no, I didn't tell you to buy it. Come on in. We're going to get your size. I look like a slut. Well, you look like my slut. If I like you in something, you'll wear it for me. Changes the game when you can say, I like that for you. Why don't you put this on? Because I know a lot of men that have certain fetishes, certain things they enjoy. And if you can tell her to wear that for you, great. But you can't expect her to do it. You know, I know a guy that I don't know what was going through his mind at the time. His wife came home and he jumped on her with a kitchen knife and cut her blouse off and ravished her in the kitchen. And it was great. And then the next Saturday, she said, oh, don't forget, we got to go to the mall today. And he said, well, why? And she said, oh, because I need a new blouse. He was like, oh, no big deal. Not knowing it was some high fancy import store silk blouse. But here's the thing. Could he complain about it? He had to call me later and he was like, yo, Watt, I know we were supposed to take that trip, but this blouse kind of cut into my travel money. So but he couldn't tell her that. You can, hey, if you're going to be the man, you got to be the man. You got to have enough money to cover your fuck ups with women too. If I make a mistake and say, oh, be here at this time, but something changed, I need to be able to cover that screw up.
So, right. And then ultimately, like, that's, I suppose, you know, I think for the words, it was better to say, get your money right. It just fit better.
Yeah. But, well, Twitter,
what you're saying is like, you know, get your, having money makes you the master of your own domain. Really, man, you don't need a lot to do it. You just need a lot for whatever lifestyle you want to live. You know, for example, I really enjoy. I like traveling, man. I like traveling, but to counter that relatively expensive hobby, I'm like, man, you give me some free music, some live music, I am good. Right, but at the same time, right? Just thinking about what you said. We were just in Napa Valley 2 weeks ago, and we were walking along some town up there, and I love live music. Like that's my thing. I love it. Right. Only thing I probably like more. No, that's what I like most. And so we were walking past this place, and there was this group called the Squirrel Nut Zippers playing, and I had never heard of them.
Squirrel Nut Zippers.
But I looked them up, and I was like, okay. I'm going in to check it out, right? So I walked in and they were like, and I was like, is there a cover or whatever? What's the cost to be in here? Thinking they were just gonna be playing. They were like, nah, it's a show. You know, you can pay for a ticket. The ticket's something like, I think it was like 50 or 100, depending on the seat. And I just was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna get the spot right next to the stage, and it was $200 tickets, and it was nothing, right? And I was able to do that. I wasn't able to walk away or like ask my girl to cover her ticket. I was like, no, I want to go here. So you're going to come here with me. And here's how we're going to go. And I had a good dinner and all that with it too. So like, but that's the life I want, right? If my life was just sitting around playing Madden and smoking or whatever playing the day, if that's what I want, that's a different thing. If that's what I'm you know what? You got to be honest with yourself.
Let me do this real quick. We got a quick question about how many hours of sleep, and that's one of the keys to my success. I sleep 7 hours a day. I wake up, I can fight a monster.
I sleep, man. Here's the thing. Whenever as much as I want, which generally works out to. Let's see. Last night I went to bed pretty typical about midnight. Woke up at 8. Yeah, so it was 8 hours. You know, and here's the thing, right? People think I'm always an early riser. No, I just know how to be an early riser when I need to be. Right now, I don't need to be. I have like the whole day to do what I want to do. I don't have any pressing obligations. I'm not enlisted anymore. I'm not in school anymore. I don't have a job. I don't got to be to the gym for training. Not right. So I can wake up and go to sleep whenever I want. But it usually works out to about 8 hours ish. That's what I pretty much need. I
want to say, I remember when you told me you weren't going to be boxing anymore, and the first thing I said is, "Don't get fat." All my friends, within a year after they quit fighting, they just started eating they were making up for it. They were making up for all the stuff they couldn't eat before.
Ah, man, nah, here's the thing. I have a healthy level of vanity, I think. And that keeps me in the gym, that keeps me working on my style, that keeps me always upgrading. But because it's two forces really at play. One, I don't ever want my girl to be thinking that she could do better, right? So I want to keep myself up. Obviously there's my personal pride and all. But one, I don't ever want, my girl to think she could do better, right? And two, I like to think of it this way. I always go, okay, if I got off this call right now and she was like, we need to talk. I ain't like you doing that anymore. And I'm like, all right, so we gotta go our separate ways. I would like to be in a position to where I'm always able to replace, and obviously not replace the human and what they bring, but just never be repulsive to the opposite sex. And then we're not even talking. And then there's the other thing I mentioned at the beginning of the combo is people just treat you better, man. Like,
yes,
like, dude, when you are in shape and well dressed and you look people in the eye and you have a firm handshake, man, people don't give you shit. They're like, now people don't give you shit. The service is better. I'm never really worried about somebody trying some shit. Like, people think I know what I'm talking about, which
yeah. So I'll tell you, when talking about your healthy level of vanity, I'll tell you, and I was in my early 20s when this happened. A small incident that lasted for less than a second changed my outlook on weightlifting. I was 6 months deep into my sophomore year in college. I had been lifting weights consistently since the beginning of my freshman year, really. Because, when you're at that age, all you got is 3 or 4 classes a day and you ain't got nothing else to do. I remember walking outside in a tank top. It was probably some obscure Japanese manga. And I was walking down a path and I saw a guy semi-violently grab his girlfriend under the arm and yank her real quick. And she was like, ugh. And personally, by the way, I'm not trying to be anybody's hero. I was not good. No thanks. But it took a second for me to click what happened because of the way her eyes were tracking. He yanked on her because he caught her looking at me. Is it wrong that I enjoyed that? Is it wrong that I felt good and I was like, I want to be that guy forever?
Nah, man, that's I'm a big fan of using your inadequacies and turning them into strengths. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a chip on your shoulder. There will come a point where you need to outgrow that and hustle for your own sake if you want to move to the next level. But I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with wanting to be perceived a certain way or wanting to show people, here I am now, you missed out, whatever pushes you to the next level. But you will have to discard it at some point. Eventually that cannot.
Well, time wins. Father time wins. Father time wins, but I want to enjoy the ride as long as I can, to enjoy this meat wagon as long as possible. And with technology and injections, I can do it a lot longer than maybe my grandfather could. But I just remember that feeling of, oh, this is what it's like. Because remember, he didn't even make eye contact with me. But it was a very weird situation. He felt more comfortable being violent to his girlfriend instead of just looking at her and being like, oh, fine, you're looking at somebody else. Find your own way home. And when you get home, your box will be outside. That he didn't even have to life.
And and then back to this whole, I guess the main idea of combo. That's really what it's all about. Is that I really believe that I think one of the main things we have to do as men is we have to put ourselves in a position to be the masters of our own domain.
Right.
And that means, like, if you don't agree with something, you get the ability to do one of two things: change it or leave that situation. And if you don't have either of those two abilities, then you're not going to be able to fully develop, I think, or you're not fully developing, and you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. And that's one of the things that working on your means of generating income does. It gives you the ability to not tolerate a situation that may not be best for you. And if it's not about money, let's say you need a job with your specific skill. Look, when you got a specific skill and you're valuable, if one employer ain't doing right by you, you go to another one, someone who will do right because you have a valuable skill. And it's likewise in a relationship. Look, if the relationship is not meeting your needs, or you guys just ain't on the same page, I think a lot of people stay with somebody longer than they should because they know, they might not admit it, but they know deep down that they're not going to be able to jump and find someone who will kind of accept what they can. They have someone said on Facebook the other day something about women staying with guys who are rather women not getting with good guys are dissing those guys. And I'm looking at them like, man, you got to understand something about the guys that they're dissing. These guys, they wouldn't know what to do if the women did take them. They have no clue. They haven't spent the time developing themselves in a domain where they're going to be.
You know what? I always say most men want a beautiful woman, but most men don't have the strength of character to know what it's like walking next to a beautiful woman. To know what it's like to say, how do I behave when a bunch of other men are going to say some rude shit or look at her uncomfortably? How do you behave? I mean, do you have a plan? Yeah, how do you deal with it?
Do I even look like a bunch of like? Here's the cool thing about do I even look like a guy that they shouldn't try? That's another thing. Look, man, that's it's one of those things. When you signal that you have certain things. I can't remember what this is called, evolutionary biology, but
it's called. What would they be called? Secondary. No, that's secondary mating signals. Like looking at bust size and hip size on a woman, or in the gym, my buddies who are bodybuilders. I'm not a bodybuilder, I'm a weightlifter, but they always had a phrase that was really interesting. Curls are for girls, because one of the things you learn in fighting and a whole bunch of other stuff, big bicep muscles are rarely
very hard to defend with big bicep muscles. Hard to get here. But a purely scientific example, there's a correlation between the increase in testosterone after a certain point and your immune system, a negative correlation. So the more testosterone you have, the weaker your immune system. And it's a handicapping effect. It's basically saying, okay, look here, I'm so fit that I can be weak here. Think about it in the street. The guys who stunt, I don't even know why I was just looking at this, but it came through my feed. Because I was trying to find this picture for an article. But these guys, they beat this dude's ass because he came through the hood in a new Audi. They dragged him out of his Audi, whooped his ass, stole his car, right? And you know why? Because he wasn't strong enough to show up with that Audi. He didn't have the respect, right? Just like if he showed up with a good looking woman, they'd probably whoop his ass and take her, right? That's the kind of thing. Do you look like, or do you carry yourself in a way to where you can deal with the attention and competition that your status is going to bring?
Yeah, that's one of those things. That's why, because I always tell people think I'm cool, which I'm not. It just happened to be that cool managed to start lining up with the nerd shit that I was already into. It's interesting. The kids today will never know what it's like to get beat up because you wear a Dungeons and Dragons shirt. Y'all can't relate.
Oh man.
But what I get to is that I'm a fat kid that wet the bed. That's all. And I just decided I was not okay with that, and I'm just gonna have to not be that person anymore. And I try to explain to people, I'm not special. I just decided I'm going to work my ass off. I'm not tall. I didn't come from a family whose family name struck fear into the hearts of men. I'm not even nice nor charming. Well, how do you become successful with men and women? Easy. You build up the other traits. But what you said, when Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, you and I go into those things that kill your ego and also tell you, I know I can get up again. Just that alone. Like, I might not win, but I don't think you can do something to me that my friends at the gym haven't already done, and I had to get up from an amateur or professional fighter. If you aren't willing to go that far, like the person you have to be to put me down, I don't know if you're that guy yet.
Right. Now, that's actually great. I like that. The person you got to be to put me down. I just don't know if you're that guy.
Yeah, because here's the thing. You and I, as people who train in violence, we learn to run from violence immediately because as a boxer, as somebody who trains in grappling, we know how fragile a human body is.
Yeah. I was just telling guys this. I'm like, look, after you've been in a few fights, you, whether it's sanctioned or on the street, you really it ain't that hard to hurt somebody, and it's not that hard to get hurt yourself.
Right.
And is it really worth it? I mean, yeah, there's some people who, for whatever reason, low intelligence, high emotional volatility, they continue to touch the stove, and we haven't even factored in the laws and everything that people have to deal with. And you don't want to go down that road, man. like it's that scene in the Matrix with Trinity, and they're about to take Neo to meet Morpheus, and Neo is about to run off, and Trinity stops him and goes, "You don't want to go down that road, Neo. You know where it goes and you know where it ends." It's like that with starting and getting into fights, man. When you're at a certain point, it's not worth it. It's not worth it, and you know what you can lose.
Well, I'll tell you one of the things that impressed upon me very young, and I'm going to try and find this article. It should still be online. When I was in high school, there was a basketball game that turned into what I would call a mini riot. A bunch of high school kids.
Yeah, a basketball game that broke out on a fight.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But here's the crazy part. I'm looking up this article because there was a young man who something happened and he picked up a chair. And I'm giving you
I'm already guessing where this is going, but
he picked up a chair and he hit another kid with the chair. Now, can you read that?
Yeah, there you go, right? That's exactly what happened.
He hit a kid with a chair. The chair had something broken on it, and from what I heard and was told, it punctured the other kid's heart. He just hit like WWE, like pro wrestling. He hit him with a chair. Something splintered off the chair that was metal. One 17-year-old killed a 19-year-old. That's it. And I remember realizing as I got older, I was a bouncer for a while. And I did that for about a year. And then I was like, I don't want to see this anymore. Because most people, they see fighting on television or professionally. Neither case show people the real things that can happen. If you win a fight on the street, you might be looking at prison. And if you don't, do you know how many people hit their head on the ground and don't get up again? Yep. So when you learn, even my friends who, I know people that talk about, oh, I want to learn a real fighting art, like kickboxing. Well, that's great. But then they degrade arts like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Judo. And I'm like, do you understand? A white belt in Judo can throw you on your head and break your neck. Like, we can't forget the term martial and martial arts. It actually comes from the concept of warfare.
Yeah, martial, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't get that. And it's like, that's why I tell people if the war pop off, I'll be under the table. Thank you. I remember I worked with a guy. I was a corporate accounts manager for a company, and we had a manager who was calling an account receivable. He called the guy, and while he was on the phone, he was just telephone tough guy. If we don't get blah, 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 and he hung up the phone, and I looked at this dude, and I'm like, for somebody who does not look like he's ever been punched in the face real good, he was talking, and lo and behold, right before we all went home, we heard somebody pulled into the parking lot. The dude got out of the car. He was a construction worker. He had his shirt off. He had an 8-pack, not from doing sit-ups, but because he works out in the hot sun all day, and a tool belt on. He walked in. The other dude looked at me, and I looked at him, and I went to the back room. I was like, why would I stop your ass kicking? Like, why would I get at the end, they were like, why didn't you stay? You can be mad, but you cashed that check.
Yeah, man, that's the other thing.
Hey, beautiful faces by Pureness came in to say hello.
Getting ready for my last client. Who is that?
Faces by Pure. Hold on, she's coming to talk to me in a little while. I'm gonna show you Faces. She is a celebrity hair and makeup woman. She's been doing it 20 years, and she does something very noble. She is actually one of the people that will take care of your mom and your grandmother when they die. She does women's faces as well to let them, that last memory you have with dignity.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
Look what she does.
Oh, what a great gig. Oh.
That's her. Ta-da! But here's the thing: everybody watching, anybody watching, go check her out on Instagram, or go by her facesbypureness.com. Tell her I sent you. Hey, Faces, when are you and I gonna text me? We don't need to put our business on television like that. Text me. Let me know when you're gonna stop by. We gotta have that conversation. But yeah, going back to that, it's like people don't understand just how fast it can be over, because when you've seen it close up and you understand that violence is this thing that can get you prison or death or cause you to kill someone, and I just mean physical violence, you become so weary of it. You are so willing to run and be just be the guy that, hey, I just get to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, and the best way to avoid a lot of this stuff, stay away from people who are like that. I mean,
Yeah.
I think about all the shit I got into when I was younger. And it was
Did the statute of limitations run out on anything you can talk to us about?
Huh?
Did the statute of limitations run out on anything that you can talk about?
Oh no! I mean, dude, I fought to survive. I am very, what's the best way to put this? I sit and do a lot of thinking about why I am the way I am, and what I mean by that is why have I taken certain steps or saw certain things that made sense, even when I stumbled through life in my 20s. Why didn't I go the route of many people around me? What are some of the things that made me able to get out of that environment? And the things that a lot of it, I just think I got lucky. And by lucky, I mean my I now know after seeing enough people with kids and that we come into the world with a certain personality, and that personality has us react to the external environment a certain way. And however, I just came in with an unusual level of grit for whatever reason, and along with that grit, I think I also happened to have this other thing that made me really wary of getting in trouble. I don't know, man. Maybe it was the ass kickings. I don't know, from my mom when I was a kid. Who knows? The point is, I didn't get in a lot of trouble, and on top of that, for whatever reason, a lot of kids didn't like me. I mean, they liked me because I was interesting and funny, but I got called an ugly kid a lot, man. That was, so that kept me from ever trying to fit in. And then I just gravitated towards a bunch of other stuff. And outside, I mean, I fought a lot in the hood. I mean, like there was one summer, man, where like literally we was lining motherfuckers up, kicking ass, because that was the only way they were I was going to deal with it. And then once that was done, it was the next day and the next day. It's a lot. But once I got out of that environment, man, in high school, because I went to a high school across town and in a totally different, not totally different, but mostly different group of people. I just didn't have to deal with a lot of stuff, thank goodness. But I did have to do it a lot when I was surrounded day in and day out. I mean, I went to an elementary school in the projects. I went to a middle school that was not in the projects, but it fed from two projects and then like two super low class neighborhoods. A lot of class there. I think we hold the distinction of being the first public school, definitely the first middle school, maybe the first public school in the city of Pittsburgh that had metal detectors because we needed them. It was that kind of environment. Once you get away from that, right? I used to think it was normal for kids to fight. I have this distinct memory of asking kids in high school, "How many fights you been in?" and thinking it was weird that they were like, "None. Why would we fight?" And I was like, "Oh, right." But there's a no. I don't. There's not. I would. The only thing I would talk about, I mean, is yeah, your surroundings make a big difference. Once you get to a point where you're an adult and you can get out of those surroundings, you need to do everything you can to not just get out of it, but make sure your children are not in it.
Ed, we can go on like this forever. I always love talking to you, but I got stuff I got to do.
So do I.
And not a whole lot of time to do it in.
That's the problem. Lots of stuff, not a lot of time to do it in.
Did I do a good job as a friend promoting you?
Oh, sure. You know, I never lean on people to try and promote me.
I know you don't. That's why I'm always here to do it for you, because you know what, you don't. I've had some, interestingly enough, as my YouTube channel has picked up, I've had some strange offers from some even stranger people that I don't know and that can't have any. I'm like, did anybody send you to me? Do we have a friend in common you can reference? I mean, there's some weird stuff that's come across my email. I mean, it's okay, but it's just.
Well, yeah. Right. So, well, thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
All right, let's definitely make sure that we do this more often. When do you travel again?
I got nothing planned right now. Not until I leave the country for like an extended, because I don't think it'll be permanent, but it'll definitely be extended. But I have nothing planned right now. But you never know, man. Something could pop up. And I could be like, I want to go do that. That's what's kind of cool about the life. I've put a lot of energy.
You could just pop up in Brazil.
I could just pop up in Brazil. Do I need? That's right. I don't need a visa to go to Brazil.
No.
That is relatively new, though.
Yeah, within the last 6 months, I think.
Oh yeah, so maybe I'll pop up in Brazil. Who knows, man?
All right. I'll talk to you guys later, faces. You have a great afternoon. And thanks, everybody. And like I said, be sure to give a thumbs up and share this video. This is important because this is how I meet other amazing people. Talk to you guys later. And let me know when you get that